Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivimey.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about, it's all about family on this network.
On this network, we are a family-driven network. We're explicitly rated, but we're family-driven.
Ooh, yeah. We're not for families.
No, your whole family shouldn't listen to this, and we apologize if you've tried to play us in the car.
Well, if you don't have children.
Oh, if you don't have children.
Then your family can listen to this.
If you're a 16-plus household.
But we are a family.
We are a family.
Yes, we always say it anytime we talk about one of these movies. We are the Olive Garden of podcasts. If you're here, your family. We're talking about Fast X today on the podcast.
Fast X, Fast 10 if you're a Roman.
If you're
That's how you do your numbers?
If you're into Roman numerals or Roman the character.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow, he really should have been the lead of this one, huh?
He should have. Let's not go crazy.
You're right. I immediately drawn this back.
And
it's the right choice.
But we're talking about the 10th Fast and Furious movie, a.k.a. Fast X, a.k.a. Fast 10. We're talking about that this week on the podcast, continuing. Last week we did F9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
Bananas
we
naming scheme. It's all over the place. F9 to Fast 10.
Just noticing? Just
now,
noticing now that it's a little crazy we call these films?
I'm only just now picking up on it.
Oh, well. You're lucky.
Sweet.
You've missed a lot of jokes over the years, though.
Oh, I'll go back and enjoy those. So we're talking about Fast X today on the podcast. Since it is a new movie, whenever we talk about a new movie or show, we always give a spoiler-free review. So in case you're on the fence about watching it, or just want a taste on your way to the theater, for whatever your reasons might be, we'll give you a spoiler-free review. Then, once you hear the theme song, that's going to be when we enter the spoiler-filled section. Before we do the spoiler-free review, I want to let all of you know that in August, I am doing a charity bike ride. I am doing a cycle called the Friends for Life Bike Rally. It goes from Toronto to Montreal. It is a 610-kilometer or 379-mile for our American friends bike ride over the course of a week from Toronto to Montreal. It's all to raise money for charity. I would love it if you have anything in your budget right now, if you go and donate from now until June 15th. An anonymous donor has decided to match all donations. So all donations are essentially doubled from now until June 15th. So if you go to bike.andrewivimey.com, that is bike.andrewivimey.com. We'll also have a link in the show description. Donate what you can, and whatever you can, if you do it before June 15th, an anonymous donor matches it, so you essentially donate double, which is amazing.
This is so interesting to me on so many levels. The anonymous donor is so mysterious. I picture them in a shadowy room doing gracious deeds out in the world. Like, no one can know who I am as I do my good little deeds everywhere.
Who could it be?
Who is it?
Who's
matching up to $100,000 for this charity? It's so cool.
Is it a cast member of Fast X? You don't know, but with how big this cast is, statistical likelihood says it's probably a member of the cast of Fast X.
Also, it is a speed-based charity.
Oh, okay.
This is your Fast X hunt.
This is my Fast X.
I don't know if you get more if you get to Montreal first. I don't know how that works on what you're doing. But I'm sure there's some kind of
Hey, I'm just taking it a quarter mile at a time.
Oh shit, guys! He's taking it a quarter mile at a time. It's gonna take a minute to get to Montreal.
It will, but really, a quarter mile at a time is the only way to do anything if you measure things by quarter miles. So I am doing that. Please.
How many quarter miles is it?
Please, it is approximately 2,400 quarter miles.
Okay.
So please give what you can. Go to bike.andrewivimey.com. It's all going to charity. It's a wild thing that I'm doing, so please give what you can. It's doubled until June 15th. Bike.andrewivimey.com. And now let's talk about Fast X. Let's give a spoiler-free review. Let's start with the simple question. Diana, did you like it?
I am going to give it a like, and this like is almost purely supported by the shoulders of Jason Momoa. He is incredible. Wow, what a performance by Jason Momoa, just doing... I don't even want to say he's doing Jason Momoa things because I've never seen him quite like this, and I loved it. He is this Joker-esque, wonderful, wonderful villain. Other than that, I liked this quite, I guess more than 9, but it still has a lot of problems. The team split up so much. There is a ton of action, and all the action is like good, but none of it's great. Is a real problem. When it's 90% action, I'm like, you gotta have like really good action if it's gonna be this much action. John Cena is also very good though, so this is a huge bonus. So like Cena and Momoa are kind of carrying this movie for me. And other than that, I like it, I guess, the whole time, but I'm like, it never really feels like it starts. Like the whole movie, I'm like, we're gonna really get into it soon. And I'm like, we didn't get into, oh, not yet, okay. And like, I feel like just as we kind of were starting, the movie was over. And that was 2.5 hours later, so that's not great. So I'm gonna give it a like, but it's definitely nowhere near a love. It's better than 9, but I'm not gonna put it above most other Fast movies I've seen. Andrew, what's your spoiler-free review? Did you like it?
I'm a high like.
A high like? Wow, jealous. I want to like it.
I'm a high like borderline love. I'm up there. I agree with a lot of your criticisms though.
Okay.
The weird thing is it kind of won me over with quantity rather than quality, which is very rare, but like there is a lot of action scenes. Like everyone gets a scene, even though as bloated as a cast this is, everyone gets something.
That's a negative for me, but continue.
And even though I'm like, it doesn't have the like, a lot of action movies or blockbuster movies will have like, we've got 3 big set pieces. And I'm like, oh, everything's pretty good, but goddamn, everything keeps moving along. And oh, another one? Oh, wow, another one? Like, it just kind of like,
brain?
It washed over me with just a constant bombardment of fun, but not so fast paced that it became noise. Like there was enough kind of like small emotional breaks in between where I'm like, okay, hit the reset. Oh my God, we're going again. So it didn't have the quality. I'm not putting it as my favorite of the franchise. That's still going to remain as Fast 5, but definitely better than 9. I had a really good time. I kind of like it is a celebration of abundance and extravagance, and I think that that's where this franchise belongs. I kind of like this franchise as a completely manic monster energy drink James Bond, and I think that this movie is that. And Momoa is chewing scenery in the best way. Cena gets to beef it up. We've got Brie Larson here who's doing some fun stuff. I think everybody's fun. I'm having a great time. I liked its pacing. The ending was abrupt, and we can get into that into the spoiler section. Although part of me wants to give like a warning in a spoiler-free way to people, but
I mean, we've mentioned it's abrupt.
It's abrupt. Not a fan of the ending, and I do agree that it feels like one big first act. But I wasn't so angry about that it undermined the fun time that I had throughout all of this.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a pretty fun time throughout all of it.
I'm really happy for you, and I wish I had as fun a time. Yeah, I found it kind of bloated. There's way too many characters, like especially because there's new characters. This isn't even me giving a spoiler. I'm like, we're adding new people that aren't just Momoa. Like, obviously, you got to add Momoa. That's not even in question. But I'm like, I don't know if we needed any of these other new people, to be totally honest.
It has reached a point of critical mass where it's come back around to being charming. Because I know that I am talking against some of my previous talking points on other episodes of this podcast about other properties. I very easily will be like, this is too many characters. It's too bloated. You can't give them the attention that they deserve. I will say that about a lot of movies. I'll say it about a lot of shows. But this is at a point now where it is a clown car that just keeps flooding people out of it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually having fun with the absurdity of it. So I am actually on board with the absurdity of how many people there are.
All right. I get what you're saying. I guess I just like the characters we do have. I want to have more screen time, more relationships, more things for. Like this movie has been said to be the Infinity War of the Fast and Furious franchise, and I'm like, in Infinity War they all got like an arc.
Yes. Yeah, there is no arc.
No one's got an arc.
But none of the movies have an arc. It's just family.
Sometimes you let a guy go who you were going to arrest, and that's an arc.
Second chances maybe is an arc.
Second chances.
But for the most part, the plot of these movies are step 1 family, step 2 family, step 3 family.
Maybe profits. Maybe step 4
sometimes profits. Sometimes.
They have a lot of money. That's what I'm saying. Well, we're on slightly different paths. Yes, I like it. I don't love it. You like it a lot more than me.
And can it be spoiled?
Yeah. there's some stuff.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it can be spoiled. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, if there's stuff we don't want to say in the spoiler-free review, then it can be spoiled. We have already held back on one criticism we were going to throw out.
Yeah, I've held back on a criticism. Then there's just like a couple of fun things here and there, a few little twists and turns. Yeah, I think it can be spoiled.
Excellent.
Well, that will conclude our spoiler-free review. Now, let's get into the bulk of the episode. Let's get into the meat of it all. Let's talk about Fast X. All right, we have seen Fast X. We can spoil it now. We can talk about everything. But we're on different wavelengths.
We're on different wavelengths. Yeah, I have a lot of complaints, and like the things that I think are really good are so good. I think Cena and Momoa are so good.
So good.
That I'm giving it a like, because like Momoa has so much screen time as well, which is so huge. Like as I said, there's too many characters in this, but it's nice to have a villain who's so good, who also gets so much screen time to be good.
Yeah.
And also Cena is very, very good. But the rest of the movie kind of, I'm just like, it just never feels like it starts. And the action, as I said, is like everyone gets an action scene. And I actually found that exhausting. Like just to be like, every time we open a door and someone walks through it, they're going to have to fight someone. I'm like, okay, no one's going to talk. We're even going to fight Pete Davidson, I guess.
I didn't come to the Fast series for the deep, meaningful connection between these characters.
I actually do. Furious 7 is my favorite one, and it makes me cry so hard, and they have so many talks. And
They can do that.
Yes.
They can, I agree that they can accomplish that, but I just didn't mind that this was just a fun display of just action set pieces. I was okay with that.
I don't mind it. It was too much. It was like 20% too much. Obviously, I go to a fast movie to see action set pieces. I think also maybe it was like too much like hand-to-hand combat, because there was a lot of personal fight scenes. Like everyone got a personal fight scene, and I'm like, I want to see this giant bomb thing. I want to see Dom take out 2 helicopters with his car. Like these are the action scenes I'm here for.
Yeah.
Those action scenes ruled.
And I think it just kind of changes because they're like, well, we have Statham and Cena now, who are both fist-fighty action people. So we're
Even
kind of...
Charlize Theron is like, I'm a fist-fighty action person.
Charlize knows how to fight. Yeah. Same thing with Michelle. Michelle knows how to fight. So I can see what you're saying, though. I can agree that it is a lot. I think mainly one of the reasons that I love this is that for those of you who listened to our F9 episode last week, not Fast 9.
Gotta get it right.
Gotta get it right. F9. This movie is legitimately the response to all of my criticisms of F9. Like, it is almost like they heard that, went back to the past, and wrote this around it. Because, like, when I was talking about F9, I was like, the villain's kind of flat, like, this doesn't work. I'm like, the cast has gotten so bloated that there's not enough room for character development, so the villain has to be loud and big and bombastic and fun and cartoony. And in this movie, yes, I agree that the cast is so bloated there's no character beats, but they're like, here is a G.I. Joe villain that we have given the bulk of fun playtime on screen. And Momoa, you agree with this yourself, Momoa is just doing so much. He is sucking the bone dry of any meat. He's doing everything, and I adore it.
He is doing everything in a way, a character like we haven't seen in this franchise for 10 movies. Not just a big, bombastic, great villain, because we have had some pretty good villains. Like Statham started as a villain, and he was incredible.
Yeah.
So we have had good villains, but just like being kind of just very comfortable in like not his sexuality, but his presentation and his fun flirtatiousness and his like charisma and his charm. It's so cool and interesting. Like being like, I paint my nails. I'm like, that's cool, man. Like you're so toxic, but you're also not toxic.
I'm wearing a
in
blouse.
any way.
I'm like, you're the most confident person who's ever existed, and I love it.
Who's ever run an assassin's guild?
Yeah, you are a gender fluid murderer, and I kind of love this about you.
Representation?
Talking about ballet, Ashante, he does a little pirouette out of an airplane at one point. Like, it's nuts what he's doing.
The stuff he's doing is so good. It's like Joker-esque. It is like, and also just from a writing perspective, I love that he is the son of the villain from 5. It is such good, clean motivation. It really puts him already into the story. We don't have to come up with this huge backstory of why this guy hates Dom or whatever. It is just a clean, precise, you killed my dad, and now I'm here to kill you and your family. And I'm like, love that. And also the villain from the best Fast movie.
Yeah, hands
So,
down.
of course, this is such a smart idea. I do love that he's going to be the villain for 2 movies.
Yeah.
Also great.
Yeah, that's also terrific. And also, too, I think it's just a good... One of the reasons why 5 works is that it's one of the few villains that we don't have to give a second chance to.
Ooh,
and I think it really kind of adds a lot of stakes to the movie and makes it really fun to be like, this is just a bad guy. We're in a cartoon land. We've been to space. We do cartoon shit. The bad guy needs to be an absolute Skeletor. Like, it can't be a 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Can we redeem him? We need a fully bananas bad guy.
No, this is a guy, and like not just bananas, but just like Batman-esque over the top. A giant bomb that rolls down a hill? Like, not even a little bomb. It's a giant bomb. Like, it is destructive, even if it's not a bomb.
Yeah.
Even as not a bomb, it's wrecking Rome. It is a literal wrecking ball. But then it's also a giant bomb. And that's hilarious and so unnecessary, but awesome.
Yeah. And straight up doing Joker shit of like, hey, you're the hero who needs to save everyone. And that's your weakness. Your weakness is needing to save people. And you have to choose who to save. And I'm like, that's straight up a Joker plotline. Like,
oh, yeah, that's some Dark Knight shit.
Yeah, you're doing Dark Knight shit.
You're doing Dark Knight shit. The most Dark Knight shit he does, or Joker-esque shit he does, is when he's turning all of Cypher's bad guys, her henchmen, and there's one guy he has to kill. He's like, that guy didn't love anybody.
Didn't even have a cat.
Didn't even have a cat. I was like, there is so much backstory just happened right now, and that is so cool that you're so upset that one guy was basically you.
Yeah.
One guy, like, you should have loved that guy. You should have been like, this guy fucking rocks. He doesn't love anybody. But it was such a cool moment to be like, everyone else, I've kidnapped your families.
And there's so much to like about his character, and I can't determine if it is really detailed writing or Jason Momoa is doing phenomenal improv as well.
Ooh.
Because Jason Momoa, I do agree, is is very charming, very charismatic, very bombastic a person, and can be very funny. I've seen interviews with him where it's like he is funny and charming, and but I've never been like, oh, what a great improviser, what a great comedic improviser. But there's little stuff like when he gets the tech nerds, and at one point he's just like, yeah, pack up that laptop, Ben. And he calls one of them Ben. And there's part of me that's like, there's no way that dude was named in the script. There's no way that dude was named in the script. So I'm like, I think this is Momoa fucking around a lot of the time. And I love that he's doing that and bringing this to that role. Or I could be entirely mistaken and they've just written incredible detail for this character. But I really do feel and get the impression that Momoa is bringing a lot of improv and fun characterization to this.
I completely also think Momoa is bringing a lot of fun and improv to this, just because nothing else in this script at all matches what Momoa is doing in terms of any characterization or comedy or level of detail or spontaneity.
Cena a little bit.
But Cena is still also more performance than on the page. Like, Cena is selling it. He's dancing with that kid in the car. He's like defending. Actually, the writing of defending his like shitty car is kind of cool. So I'll give them that. But yeah, mostly I think a lot of this is on Cena. I mean, Cena can definitely improv. That's all WWE wrestling is. It's just improving what you're saying the whole time. But I do think this is like Momoa doing most of this.
Yeah.
It's wildly impressive. It is one of my favorite villain turns of all time.
Super impressive. Yeah, really good villain stuff. For a man who played a very famous and dangerous villain on Game of Thrones as well, but a much more severe one. Seeing this, it's just, it's a very impressive swing, I think, for his range and career.
I will have a complaint, which is not about Momoa himself, but about just like the plot structure. I do find it a little annoying as the movie went on. It was like, you're supposed to suffer, Dom. This character's like, I'm going to make you suffer. And we were like 2 hours and 15 minutes in, and I'm like, you haven't killed anyone Dom cares about. Like, not even a fake kill yet. Like, I don't honestly think anyone's dead. I don't think Cena's dead. I don't think, obviously, no one on the plane is dead. If Cena does end up being dead, I guess maybe, but
and no real suffering. In all honesty, these people have had more stressful weeks in their life.
This isn't even though. Yeah, Dom seems pretty chill about this, if I'm being totally honest. So yeah, by the time we got to like Momoa wasn't even sure how he was gonna get the kid. He had to be like, oh, thank God, he's on the roof of a car. I can just grab him. I'm like, you haven't really dialed in the suffering. Like, this movie is rated PG, which is kind of crazy. So I wouldn't have minded if he did like some more kills or at least some more injuries like much earlier. Like, he just like he was so badass off the top with Cypher. And then I was kind of just like, what are you even doing, buddy?
He was badass in that scene with Cypher.
He was super badass in the scene with Cypher.
Really great in that scene with Cypher.
Yeah, like a really interesting way to introduce him as well, of being like, our second baddest villain is like scared of this guy, is always a nice escalation. Yeah,
and they like, I need your stuff. You're either with me or you're in my way. Like, oh, okay, here we go. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Cypher, I actually feel like would have just teamed up with him. She doesn't mind doing that. Although I guess she probably betrayed the guy from the last movie already because he's just gone.
I think she doesn't like working with anyone. I think there's part of that I really enjoy, that I'm kind of warming up to Cypher as pure chaotic neutral.
She'll just work with whoever gets her alive.
Yeah. Cypher just doesn't give a shit, so I'm kind of getting on board with that. And they've toned down the haircuts a little bit. So like,
this was her best.
This was the best haircut easily
by leaps and bounds, by 100%, like an actual normal haircut.
And she got a fight scene that actually kind of ripped because Charlize can actually do action. So like that fight scene with Michelle Rodriguez kind of ripped. I liked that.
Oh, I liked the one with her henchmen more.
Oh, I thought that was also good. They were both good. Yeah. 2 good fight scenes with Charlize. So that helps. That elevates it a little.
That elevates her a little bit.
I do want to bring back one positive that I said on last week's F9 episode that I want to drop it again. And it is the fact that both Ludacris and Nathalie Emmanuel are like legitimately there needs to be an Oscar category for casually delivering clunky exposition, and both of them need to be co-Oscar winners because the absolute gobbledygook they have, it is so impressive.
It's so impressive. The scene that really got me, that was so good, was when Momoa steals all their money and Ludacris is trying to track it. And they're both saying the same thing to each other, just kind of quietly. Yeah, track the IP. Oh, yeah, we gotta have to. And like, but they're giving exposition in this like we both understand it way. And then Roman's got to be like, yeah, they're tracking the IP, and then they're do this, and then they're gonna find them, backtrace the money.
Yeah.
And it's just this like brilliant way of being like, instead of one of them just whispering to themselves or explaining what they're doing, the two of them simultaneously being like, yeah, that's the next step, obviously, and then we're gonna, because only one of them can type.
Reaching the way, and this is part writing as well, but I do want to give a lot of credit to both of them as performers, because reaching the conclusion of one another's thoughts are also why I think this pairing works really well, because at first it was like they serve the same function, what are we doing here? But then there are moments where it's like they're underground and the character of Ramsey is turning to Tej and it's like they're blocking the cellular data that prevents the satellite from getting the thing, and then Tej will be like, what that means, Dom, is that you're going to need to get hands on the device in order to. So they're piggybacking one another's thoughts in a way that actually feels like how humans collaborate. And it makes it, even when it is just kind of techno exposition, it makes it feel natural the way that two people are just like, so I'm going to do this, and then you're going to, yeah, I'll finish your thought. Absolutely. And it's just that boom, 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 and it moves so fluid. And they sell the shit out of it.
I mean, the characters have worked together for 4 movies now. And I think what you just said makes a lot of sense. Of Ramsey kind of says the technobabble first, and then Ludacris kind of knows how to translate it for the rest of the crew better than she does, and also knows how to translate it for how they work with like the cars and like the strategies and everything. So yeah, they are a great duo on paper and on performance. Like that little bit on the balcony where she like knew a thing about a car and he was like, marry me. And she's like, that's all it took. And it was like, this is the first time I've liked the flirting.
Yes.
Because for 2 movies it was too much, and then in 9 no one flirted with her. And now we're back to just Luda flirting with her a little, and I was like, this I liked. I liked this.
I'm actually rooting for that.
Yes.
I'm rooting for that.
When it's not both him and Roman trying to like fight over her, and I'm actually just like, yeah, you two work.
Yeah.
You two are going to be so happy together.
Yeah, Tej, get it.
You are going to be great. And Roman will be alone, but that's fine. He'll like have his family.
A great pairing between those two. A great pairing between those two. So those are some of the glowing things that I have to say about this movie. Is that, you know, I love the performances of Momoa, Cena, Ludacris, and Nathalie. I think they're all phenomenal, and I like the kind of speed and intensity of this. But I agree with you that, like, yeah, there's not really an arc or a through line. It is revenge, and we're seeing it from the villain's perspective, but it doesn't really kind of get to a strong place.
It doesn't get to a strong place, and the team is so separated this entire movie. And like, because yeah, we've got Roman and Tej and Ramsey off on their own, Dom just by himself, Letty by herself, and then Mia and John Cena are together for a second, and then John Cena completely alone. And I'm like, this is so many groups that aren't interacting. The family is not building, and I know we're building to like we have to have a reunion in the next movie, but this movie has to feel satisfying on its own. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of doesn't, like, especially because there was just scene after scene that just felt like we're gonna get it now, like especially actually with Ramsey and that whole crew of like, now we're in London, but that's not our like we're in Rome, but that's not our main mission. We end up in London. We go to Pete Davidson to get stuff, and that doesn't work out. We go to Jason Statham to get stuff. Jason Statham leaves immediately. Suddenly we're on a plane. I'm like,
now we're going to Portugal.
They literally didn't do anything except get shot down.
Yeah. They
could be cut from this movie entirely and just show up on a plane at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was very frustrating to me.
I do agree with that. It was weird to see how much everyone was split up. And I understand that logistically, with a cast this bloated for filming scheduling reasons, like you've got to break it up into chunks. But it does feel kind of aimless.
It's a very aimless movie.
It doesn't feel like there is like I don't know. This is my biggest complaint about it. I don't know what the heroes are moving towards.
Exactly. I 100%. At any given moment, I don't know what they're running from or running to.
I know that Momoa hates them and wants to hurt them, and that's bad. But what are they running to? Like, so a lot of this movie is, we got to get to the safe house. And okay, that's a place. What are we doing? Are we hiding forever? Are we regrouping and then we're going to war with Momoa's character? What are we doing at the safe house? We got to get to the safe house. We lost money. Okay, what do we need money for? Guns and cars. What are we using the guns and cars for? Well, we'll have them, and then we'll be at the safe house, and then we'll have guns and cars. So, like, there is a lot of just circular logic within all of the hero stories that I agree is just kind of like meandering to be like, it's like step 1, get the cars. Step 2, step 3, safe house. I'm like, but what are we going towards or avoiding? I don't know.
Yeah, like I wasn't sure like what Brie Larson was really trying to do. Because of, as we'll get into it, because of the abrupt ending, I was like, when the fuck is Letty getting out of this prison? Because I assumed she was joining the main crew before the end of this movie. I was like, this has taken a really hot minute. So like the pacing just feels a little off, and you never really know what you're rooting for. You never know if Momoa's after them currently or the agency, and you only find out at the end that those are the same thing.
Yeah.
For the most part. So yeah, it's everything that you're like, I think maybe that's actually why Cena's part works the best, because Cena is very clear because he's protecting Brian.
Yes, that's a one-to-one storyline.
He has to get to the safe house because he's in charge of a child who needs to be protected. And everyone else, I have no idea what they're up to. Mm-hmm. And like Dom especially is going on this kind of, the one complaint I have about Furious 7, even though I love it so much, is they spend the whole movie looking for Statham, and Statham just shows up wherever they are. And this movie is very much Dom is looking for Jason Momoa, but Momoa just shows up wherever he is. So Dom could go literally anywhere.
Yeah.
And Momoa will be there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know what Dom's looking for.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even like Cena has that line, which I think is cute when he's with the kid. And he's like, the first rule of spycraft is that if someone's chasing you, you need to be seen to get them to go where you want them to be. Mm-hmm. And like lets himself be spotted in order to like weed them out to then escape to safety. And I'm like, that's really clever. That's a thing that Dom could really stand to know in any way. If Dom just stood in the middle of a street and waited, he would have a confrontation with this guy.
Yeah, if he just waved and he was like, I'm right here, and Momoa would be like, ha-ha, shoot a gun at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like torture one of your family members in front of you. I don't know.
Yeah, and even the whole I have a code, I will politely race you. You know, it's like this is a dude who almost blew up the Vatican and made all of your family international fugitives, and you're like, what if we race for it? What? Shoot him. And I know there's a lot of guns, but you've got to have a better plan than politely agree to a race.
I actually really liked that as a choice for Dom, of not wanting all of his friends to have a shootout and die for him. I think that was really in character. And of course, Momoa cheated on his race, but that actually was one of my favorite moments that Dom's people chose him.
Interesting. Okay.
In a movie I was mediocre on. I'm like, oh, this moment's nice though. I don't know any of these people, which is upsetting for me. I did not need Elena's sister in this movie in any way, shape, or form.
I get that. Yeah. That might be a few unnecessary characters here and there, but okay. So I'm glad you liked that a little bit more than me. But it just kind of goes to show the circular logic of he's here. And then when he drives away at the end after cheating at the race, Dom's like, how am I going to find him? I'm like, just go anywhere next. He's literally coming to you.
Yeah, a guy saw him and called Momoa.
Yeah.
A dude at a random race was like, Dom's here, and Momoa showed up.
Yeah.
Go to his house. Go to Momoa.com. I don't know where you need to go. He's easy to find.
Yeah, 100%. So that's just kind of the circular logic of this.
Yeah. I have a genuine question. And I assume they're just hiding the answer for the next movie. But did Scott Eastwood die? Little nobody?
Oh, they said he was recovering.
Recovering! Okay, because he was absolutely fine when he rolled out of the truck. And they kept implying he was dead. I thought they were saying he was dead over and over again. And I'm like, are you gaslighting me? He was absolutely fine when he rolled out of the truck.
Yeah, he rolled out of the truck, which granted, you probably shouldn't roll out of an exploding truck at that speed. But
it's Fast 10.
Who hasn't rolled out of a truck exploding at that speed at this point?
Dom drove down a dam as it exploded and lit his car on fire, and he was fine.
Yes, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was the director Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D., essentially. Ames.
Ames and Brie Larson.
Alan Richardson and Brie Larson, in their conversation, at one point, Alan Richardson's character is like, oh, little Mr. Nobody is recovering. You're not taking over. I am.
Okay.
And then has the secret society vote from Winter Soldier, the exact same scene in this room that only exists ethereally.
That was just confusing to me, because also that plot point was little nobody, Scott Eastwood, was the only one who could turn the bomb off. And when he jumped out of the car, there was literally no quick, get him to the bomb, or we've lost little nobody. No one even mentioned it again. So I was like, and he's also so killable.
Yeah.
In a movie that's supposed to be this guy wants revenge and is going to make you suffer. I'm like, he's very killable. He has only been in one movie with us, but we like him enough. He's a really good killable guy.
He is a good level of killable. Yeah, though we will for sure get Kurt Russell back as Mr. Nobody. The amount of times when we talked in the last movie, it was there was no body, and everyone being like, he's in the wind. Okay, all right. Well, I look forward to seeing Kurt Russell in the next one.
His name is Nobody. Nobody. Of course there's nobody. And so just like his son, there's nobody.
Nobody.
He's not dead. He is dead. These are Schrodinger's boys.
Yeah.
These boys are both alive and dead at every point.
But you know what? That's entirely fine with me, because trading out a Scott Eastwood for a Brie Larson? Yes, please.
I love Brie Larson. She didn't do much for me here.
Oh, really?
I didn't she looked really good.
Boy, does she.
She does look really good, but she didn't do much that got me.
I gotta say, how is it? How is it? How is it?
Finish this question, sir.
That Brie Larson is wildly attractive in every style, fashion, and character that could humanly exist.
Yes, she is.
It does not make sense. Normally, attractive people have a particular style or look that they're attractive in. Brie Larson is just flawless at every moment, in every outfit, in every style.
See, this is what I'll agree with. I think most celebrities have like a best look,
Yeah.
and then still look good in everything else, for the most part.
Sure.
Brie Larson is best at everything.
Yeah.
And that's unfair.
It's unfair.
It's unfair. She can show up in a leather jacket or a blue blazer pantsuit and still be like, I'm fucking rocking it.
She's in a blue blazer pantsuit with spiked skate shoes. And I'm like, yes, of course.
Of course, this is the true Brie Larson. And then she shows up in like a paper bag and you're like, no, that's the truest Brie Larson.
Yeah. Everyone seems exactly like her and the most beautiful version of her. It's insane. It's truly maddening.
The trailer for the Marvels where she's in that like cute like quarter-length sleeve outfit is so adorable. Don't even get me started on Kong Skull Island.
Oh my God, look out.
She's just in a tank top and it's fucking incredible.
I mean, that's the most attractive movie that's ever existed, but that's a whole different.
It is, but like what if it wasn't Brie? Would it be that good?
I mean, Hiddleston also looks slamming in that
so
one.
good in that movie.
Although I will say, in terms of attractiveness, I got to give a shout out to Alan Ritchson as well, who looks just like a golden sun-kissed god this whole movie as director aims.
The light blue shirts he chooses to wear really pop on him, especially with like the holster like going against the color.
What was that weird little holster he had the whole time, too? There was no gun in it.
Oh, was there no gun? I just assumed there was a gun.
It was like stitched into the shirt. It was just a style thing.
No, it was a style holster?
Because I looked at the back of it because I was fascinated by it. He had two different shirts. Both of them had like one belt strap around the arm, no holster in the armpit, and around the back, it just kind of seamlessly transitions into the fabric. So it's just like a style thing that looks like a gun holster. I don't know, but I was fascinated. And boy, he looks terrific.
He looks terrific. Now, I assumed there was a gun in there because he has that body type where he can't put his arms down all the way anyway.
Yeah, biceps too big.
Perfect place for a gun.
Yeah.
Him and The Rock, both just like little gun pockets, just built in underneath their arms.
They are built-in gun pockets.
Because a normal person's arms touch their body when they hang.
Yeah, but not when biceps too big.
But not when biceps too big. So Alan Ritchson and The Rock are two of the only guys I know big enough to be like, yeah, we got a little gun pocket.
Yeah.
Underneath.
Have a little gun pocket.
That's the literal gun show.
Whoa.
Underneath.
You look at the Top Gun show, secret gun show underneath.
Actual gun.
That's the actual
Literal gun show.
Yeah, but I liked him as director Ames, but I also like him in general. I like him as Jack Reacher. I think this dude, he was good on Titans. I think this dude fucking rips.
I think this dude rocks. I don't know if this means I'm very dumb. Did you see the betrayal coming? I didn't see the betrayal coming. That he was working for Momoa.
Oh, I saw it coming. I wasn't sure if they were going to go with him or Brie Larson, to be honest.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you knew there. You knew there.
I knew
was gonna
a betrayal was coming for sure.
I actually didn't know if there was gonna. I wasn't thinking any betrayal. I mean, because I thought the agency was after them legitimately. I was like, oh, this is just a by the books number. I actually really liked the betrayal though, because like, I know this is a bombastic, ridiculous franchise where people just join Dom so quickly. But when Alan Ritchson as Ames was just like, sorry, Dom, I misjudged you after 30 seconds
Here's
of
a
meeting
gun.
him, I was like, come on, that's so fast. He didn't even save your life or anything.
He did, though.
He did try to, because he pushed his leg against him.
Yeah, he braced him in the car roll.
I guess that helped. In the moment, I thought it was like a fight move. But you're right that did brace him like a seatbelt.
Yeah, he was telling him to strap in and he didn't, so he held him down so that he didn't get hurt.
All right, maybe then.
Yeah.
But it was such a fast turnaround. Like it took 2 movies for The Rock to be like, this guy's pretty cool.
I tell you what I didn't need. I didn't need the flashback that Ames was with Dante the whole time.
I think you can just
be like, he
bribe a
betrayed
guy
recently.
later.
Who cares?
Yeah, I don't need him to have been around since 5. That's kind of too long. Yeah, I also agree. That is, I liked putting Momoa into the footage from 5. I think that was great. That was a real, like, Bruce Wayne was in Metropolis during Man of Steel kind of worlds colliding.
Yeah.
But, like, worked.
Yes, I agree that works.
Yeah, like a real good reminder of what 5 was about. And also, like, here's where he was. He was in that car. That got hit.
Yeah, and your dad had a son that looks nothing like him, that is twice his size, but sure, fuck it. Kids don't have to look like parents in this franchise. Who cares?
Yeah, they actually even had, like, a throwaway line when they were going through the files for Dante with Dom and whatever, and she was like, Dante, okay, yeah, Hernan was his dad. Mom was a Pacific Islander, to explain why he's like Momoa.
Yeah.
And the mom must have been fucking jacked. Jacked to shit. He liked big burly women.
They love doing shit like that in this franchise to be like, we need to explain why we cast this actor. And it's like, you don't. You can just cast an actor, really.
Nordic heritage.
Yeah.
F9.
Why is John Cena your brother? Your dad has a Nordic line. Okay. Just John Cena's his brother. Who gives a shit? Yeah, who cares?
John Cena's his brother. So this is the end, but not quite the end. But it's not about the ending. Gal Gadot's alive?
Yeah. I mean, we knew that was. We've been calling that since 7.
I haven't.
She
can't bring
she
both
fell into
that-
the darkness.
You can't bring both that couple back to life.
I think no body, no death. And we've always said it, and we said it in our episode on 7.
Did we say it in our
For
episode
sure.
on 7?
We were like, she's coming back. Well, I think our exact words were, if she at any point is not doing another Wonder Woman movie, she'll be back. So this is, in fact, perfect timing for her to come back.
This is wild timing. There's going to be a brief spoiler for Shazam 2 right here. So I'm going to be like, spoiler for Shazam 2. I'm going to
Skip forward 30 seconds.
I'm going to give you a second to get to that skip button. When she showed up at the end of Shazam 2 in a wildly long scene, I was like, oh, you're not working, huh, gal? This is you're a great Wonder Woman. I like Gal a lot, and she should be working. But it was kind of just like, do you need this?
Yeah, I don't know if she needs it. I think she's just one of those people who will be immensely wealthy forever and is also a supermodel. So like she'll make like a weird perfume ad that gets her as much money as the Fast franchise in a world of money and wealth that we don't understand ever.
What is with those ridiculously expensive perfumes?
There's something weird about that, you know?
It feels like a scheme.
It does feel like a scheme.
It feels like the original crypto somehow.
Yeah.
It's perfume ads.
It's perfume. Yeah. There's some like she will be a paid socialite for life. Like I'm not worried about Gal working.
No, I wasn't worried about her. But just like, as you said, if she was still Wonder Woman, she ain't showing up here.
I do agree with that. And also they've settled their beef with The Rock. I guess The Rock will be back for the final installment.
I mean, Black Adam didn't do well. So, but that was also surprising. Although that was set up in such a way that I like.
The collapse of the DCEU has really regained some actors for the Fast franchise.
Fast franchise to just kind of end with.
The Fast franchise has outlived DC. An entire DCEU was born and died before we could get the guy who boosts DVD VCR combos.
Dom just will not be stopped.
He will not die.
I just because we're on that moment, I will say at the very end scene about the 2 trucks that are gonna crush him. That are like being remote driven. I was like, man, I hope this is the guy from the first movie.
I was also hoping for that. I
think that should be the villain for 11 along with Momoa.
Yeah.
I'm the driver who they couldn't get the DVDs out of their car.
I shot Vince, he'll say.
I shot him right in the leg.
Yeah, fucked him up, fucked up everything, fucked up everyone's week. Yeah, that's the dude. We bring that dude back.
That's the dude. So yeah, The Rock also being back. Although The Rock was such a like long phone call with Momoa, and then Statham went off on his own to find his mom. I'm like, is this going to be Fast 11 or is this going to be Hobbs and Shaw 2?
I also wondered the same thing.
Because Jason Statham was just gone.
He was gone to get his mom, but Hobbs seems to be somewhere different. And from what I see online, there's no like script, there's no talks of anything about a Hobbs and Shaw 2.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that's what they would do, but like all the clues are like, we're just going to do Hobbs and Shaw 2. Like Hobbs trying to save his family, Shaw trying to save his mom, which is also Fast 11, but like they gave them their own movie once. They
could do it again, but I see no rumor mill stuff about it, so I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah, just I mean, love to see The Rock.
Love to see him. And like he works great in this. And everyone, squash the beef. Who gives a shit? All be in the biggest, most bombastic thing imaginable. Absolutely.
Especially for the end of the franchise. Like you got to bring everyone back for the final parts.
One last hurrah. If Helen Mirren can be here, Dwayne, I think you can put aside your beef with Tyrese over not liking his one single he released or whatever.
Is that the problem?
It was one of the problems. I don't fucking know. But I'm like, if legends like Helen Mirren aren't too big for this, DJ, you can stop buying the XFL or whatever the fuck and come do this for a minute. Helen Mirren's here. You're not better than Helen Mirren.
You're not better than Helen Mirren. I love you with all my heart. But
you're not better than Helen Mirren.
You're not better than Helen Mirren. Here's another compliment I'm going to throw at Momoa. I bet he does not have it in his contract that he can't lose fights.
I loved that. Love that. No ego, none of this, like The Rock Vin, we have it in our contract, we can't lose a fight. Just Jason Momoa being like, yeah, have me eat shit. I don't care.
Knock my tooth out. Yeah, have my guys have to save me. I'm outnumbered here. Yeah, him just being like, no, we're here to tell a story, even though the story's not really all that 100% great. But he's like, yeah, Momoa just coming in and being like, no, I'm here to work.
I'm not gonna
put a rider in that I can't lose.
Momoa. I love it. I sincerely love that he gets his gets the absolute shit kicked out of him in this. It works perfectly.
You glanced over this. What was with the room full of TVs?
Oh, I did want to go back to that. Thank you.
Yeah, I felt like I was in like a Bet99 app.
Yes.
Commercial.
That was an ad for every gambling app.
Every gambling app commercial is like 8 TVs, and you got your basketball over here, and your parlays, and your spreads.
Director Ames was going to be like, well, let me tell you about the agency. It's the best way to do same-game parlays.
Absolutely where I thought this was going. And then Brie leaves because she's like, I only do perfume ads.
Yeah, Aaron Paul's over in the corner on one of the hovering platforms.
100% Aaron Paul Bet99 ad.
It is absolutely that.
I know you said Nick Fury, but I'm like, no, Nick Fury has like real screens. Like I feel like they attach to the floor. They're not floating in midair.
Well, if you remember, and
they're holograms. Like these felt like floating but heavy TVs.
Yeah, it exactly looks like, I don't know if you remember, but there were deleted scenes from the Avengers.
Oh, yes, I can.
And it probably wasn't what the finished effect was going to look like, but it also looked exactly like this. Like the original Avengers movie, the framing device was supposed to be like Maria Hill talking about the trial of Nick Fury in a room that looked like this to a bunch of the World Security Council. And it's the World Security Council is what they're doing. It's exactly that room and that deleted scene from the Avengers. But it just looks like shit. Just have him in a room. Like when he's in the airplane mobile command center later, I'm like, this looks great. This is fucking awesome.
Yeah, the prison looks really cool in like a real black sidey kind of way. And then you just go into this like Star Trek-y but like not even holograms. It's like just big TVs.
It really feels like something that like a video game dev would buy like a packet for like an Unreal asset, like it's a pre-built thing that like you just bought for a bulk price off of an online website.
Yeah, because every other weird location was weird in like a cool, like lots of detail way. Like when Dom went to like the police station and it was like full of like projectors and it was like and like TVs and we're like showing his story. I'm like, this room is full and it feels real and it's still fucking messed up that Momoa did this like Joker-esque thing of being like, your life story is gonna play out in front of you while I threaten your family.
Yeah.
But it's like, it feels like a real room and I'm like, this fucking doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist. And I'm like, where are the edges of the room?
Yeah, where do you type things?
Yeah.
Like, is this your office?
You have to look at shit behind you? How the fuck do you look at shit behind you at any given point?
What an exhausting day at work.
Yeah.
You don't get to sit. You got to turn around all the time. No door, no privacy. You're the boss? This room sucks.
This room sucks hard.
This room sucks so bad.
And that's the only location that sucks. That's the only like, it's weird that is the one and only fully digital location that they do. Like there's not a bit of drywall, there's no prop. It is Brie Larson and Alan Ritchson in a void of a blue screen room, looking at blue screen boxes that pretending that they're TVs. It is the only room that's just nothing.
It is, yeah. It's 100% nothing. It felt like a real like reshoot afterthought. Like we forgot to introduce this character. Oops.
Yeah.
Like, did she just like show up at the bar in the original script? And they were like, ooh, that didn't explain it enough. We're going to have her.
And I'm trying to remember, was that the scene where the camera never stopped spinning?
It was spinning a lot.
Good God. Yeah, I think that was the one where I was like, by minute 4, I'm like, you've got to stop spinning.
Well, it's spinning and it's all exposition by Alan Ritchson. He's like, in 2005, they stole the vault. And then in 2007, they went to Dubai and we hired them for this. And Mr. Nobody should have known better. And then Gal Gadot died. And like, it was like so much backstory and it's spinning and it's not real. So like, it's just digitally going past past you so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was too much.
Yeah, it sucked pretty hard.
That's too much.
That's too much. It sucked pretty hard. And really weird to have one just strangely digital place.
Yeah.
There were a few visual effects that actually could have used some touch-ups on this as well. Like there were a few points where it was like, the digital cars don't look as good as they did in previous movies. The rolling explosive ball, when it caught on fire, it was
The
like
fire didn't look great.
the fire didn't look good.
No, the ball looked really good. The
Ball-
ball looked real. Although I think Vin said they had a real ball for some of that.
Oh shit, okay.
But like Vin also is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Vin
wanna
makes shit. I don't think
I
Vin
wanna-
understands how movies are made.
I don't want to call Vin a liar, but Vin's not right sometimes,
Yeah.
which I think is different.
It is different. It is different. Yeah, Vin's naive.
Yeah, like I would believe there was a ball somewhere in Rome, and they were like, "This is what it's going to look like." But
Right.
like, I think he thinks
We're gonna
went,
get it for reference or whatever.
I think he thinks it went down the whole hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vin, I couldn't agree with you more about our impressions of Vin. That's perfect.
Love that.
But yeah, the fire didn't look quite right because like the ball, whether it was real or at least like a real reference was made and it looked like it was spinning, the flame wasn't rolling with it. Like it was almost like you took like a gif of a flame and just laid it over the ball. It didn't roll with it in the proper way.
Yeah, that's a lot of physics to figure out. And they
Yeah.
just kind of were like, the flames just sit
The
here.
flame
That is
just
a great
kinda
point.
sitting there.
Yeah, I do remember feeling actually relieved when the ball hit a fountain and the fire went out.
Same.
I was like, oh, thank God that fire is gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it wasn't even like a conscious thought. I think subconsciously I was just like, something good just happened that is making me enjoy this sequence more.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I wanted that fire out, but that's why.
So yeah, a few little moments like that where I'm like, oh, the visual effects are a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, sometimes they were sloppy in a way that I was like, I can't tell if this is sloppy or an homage that isn't working. I will say there's like the very final shot. It's one of the final shots. It's like little Brian and Vin in the car, and it's like slow-mo past their faces. And then it goes down Vin's arm as he hits the NOS, but it
yeah.
follows his muscles for a really long time. And I get wanting to go into the car for the NOS effect, because we've done that since the first movie. It's like, this is what we do for NOS effect. Like, not every time, but like, this is a special moment. We're going to go into the NOS. But like, first following his whole arm for like 10 seconds.
It was
I'm
too much
like,
arm.
It was too much arm. Like, your arms aren't that nice, Vin.
Yeah.
For this long a shot about how your thumb's just going to hit that button.
Too much arm.
And like, the CG didn't look quite great about it. But also, I was like, in the first movie, the CG was weird whenever they nosed out, so this could be on purpose.
It kind of matches it in a weird
Yeah.
way. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's almost homage. It's almost kind of paying its respects, but it's a little bit dated at the same time.
It was dated for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
Going into the NOS just like felt dated.
And I do want to just talk about this ending in general. So
Yeah.
like this whole movie is just like everyone's been separated. Are they, they got to meet up at the safe house. Oh no, the safe house is compromised, and then John Cena sacrifices himself to save the kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Vin and it's little Brian, and they're going down the dam, and they survive that. But now the dam's about to explode. The plane's been shot down, and I guess Cypher and Letty have just escaped, and Gal Gadot's character is there in the submarine, so they're in Antarctica safe. But a plane's been shot down, and there's all this, and it just kind of ends. It just kind of cuts to black. It feels like, frankly, a mediocre place to put a TV commercial. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel like it doesn't even feel like a cliffhanger. It just feels like a cliff.
It does. It feels like it would absolutely, honestly, I actually feel like it could have worked fine, since like now I know it's a 2-part movie. I didn't at the time when viewing it, so that was upsetting. I think it would work fine, honestly, if they hadn't just hit the bombs on the bridge. If it was like Dom is separated and they can get away, and Letty's going to be doing something with this submarine next time. Like, at least that feels like we finished this one. Like, if we showed Dom just like escaping.
Oh,
But
okay.
the fact that the bridge is currently exploding, I'm like, you're in the middle of an action sequence.
Yeah.
You are mid-action sequence. Like, it feels like if like, because this is supposed to be their Infinity War. It's like if Thanos snapped and then we cut away before the people melted into dust. Like, you have to finish the
You have to finish
current-
that thought.
Yeah, this thought isn't over.
Yeah.
This isn't the halfway point.
If he got washed away and we didn't see him or whatever, it would be like, oh, is he dead? And we know he wasn't, but at least that would be an end of that moment in time.
Yeah, the moment wasn't over.
Yeah, I agree. It felt cheap. It really felt cheap. It felt like a mid-season break of a TV show. It didn't feel movie quality. And I know that, like, I often don't like it when people diminish television to talk about it as lesser. But in terms of cliffhangers, TV has to do a million billion cliffhangers. So there's been some very low quality cliffhangers over the years and some great examples of poor cliffhangers over the years where it's just a cliffhanger is not just ending in the middle of a scene. That's not a cliffhanger.
No. A cliffhanger is like you've resolved something and maybe introduced something new.
Yeah.
And like I guess we resolved that he got off the bridge, but like the rest of the dam exploding immediately is still the same sequence.
It's as a continuation of the same thought. The same man is still exploding things after him in a continuation of the exact same 5 minutes of his life.
Like in the next movie, we have to start in the same costumes in the same moment in water rushing down.
Yes.
That means that sequence wasn't over.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. It was very frustrating and just like, what are you talking? Did you run out of money? Like I know this movie was long.
It really does. Yeah, it just stops.
It genuinely just stopped.
So frustrating. And I think it's frustrating too because like immediately we were like, as we were leaving, we were like, is this a two-parter? What the fuck is going on? And I look it up and it's like, yeah, it's a two-parter, but they didn't advertise it as a two-parter.
No.
And man, it is a hot couple of years for studios doing this bullshit.
Not letting people know they're two-parters.
Yeah, so like to just like on a slight tangent, there was a minute there where Dune was Dune Part 1, and then they were going to do Dune Part 2. And they put out a trailer, and they had marketing materials that said Dune Part 1. And a lot of casual moviegoers or people who are on the fence about seeing Dune rightfully were like, fuck you, I'm not seeing part 1 of a thing. So they stopped calling it part 1. And they were like, it's just Dune, don't worry about it. There's no other movie coming. And then the Spider-Verse recently changed all of their marketing materials.
Yeah, because Across the Spider-Verse was supposed to be Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, as it was the title when it came out, when it was first announced, and when the trailer came out. And then Part 2 was going to be called Part 2. Now it's called like Across the Spider-Verse and A Crossinger of the Spider-Verse or something, whatever. There's no parts.
Yeah. Because they realized it markets terribly because people don't want to. If people know it's a two-parter, they're not going to bother to see part 1 until part 2's out.
So FYI, for when Across the Spider-Verse comes out, guys, it's part 1.
It's part 1.
There might be a shitty cliffhanger in the middle. They might just blow up a bomb and then be like, bye.
But I could easily see that happening,
See you in 2 years and we'll tell you how we webbed up that bomb.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't want you to wait until it's all out to go see it, but they also don't want to tell you that it's not all of it. So it's really just kind of shitty, bullshitty marketing. But that's 3 different things that have done this now. And I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah, stop telling me
right?
Let me know if there's parts.
And you can do multiples. Just give them an ending. Just give them give this an ending.
Like Infinity War and Endgame are a part 1 and a part 2.
Yes.
But they complete each story.
Yeah.
Like you're done at the end of Infinity War. You're
Absolutely.
like that story is contained and there's definitely more to happen, but it's a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah. Yep. I couldn't agree more. But it's weird to say that I'm like I'm still very excited to see what 11 or X Part 2, whatever the fuck they'll call it. I'm interested to see what that will do to conclude this, because even though this movie is a lot of one act, I'm like, I wonder if you can stick the landing on it.
Well, this is also a weird thing I'll throw out on the Vin doesn't lie, but he doesn't tell the truth. In promo for this movie, he said that this is a 3-movie finale, but right now only 2 movies were currently in production.
Interesting. And everything I read online said that 11 is the final of the series.
But
They're like 11's the end.
But like in promo for this movie, Vin was like, yeah, there's 3 movies that end it. And so now I'm like, Vin, I don't know if you're like have insider information or if you're just wrong.
Interesting.
Or if you just want to keep making them even when it's over.
Or maybe it's X, Hobbs and Shaw 2,
As
11.
we said, we have to go save Helen Mirren.
Yeah, whatever that might be.
We better fucking save Helen Mirren.
Yeah. So, all right, maybe that's what it is.
I mean, that's what it is. Yeah, and I think they can bring it all together. Like, as annoying as it is that everyone's separated, it always is so nice when they reunite.
Yes.
Like, literally no one's dead. This is Infinity War. Like, you get snapped away, you're going to unsnap. We're going to go to the plane crash. They're all alive. John Cena had some kind of, like, fire suppression system in that car, and he's fine. Like, none
we didn't
of
see
them.
the body. Cena's alive.
Yeah, they're alive. So it's going to be an unsnap in the next one. But then you get, like, the reunions are always nice.
Yeah.
Get some nice quippy dialogue. something like that.
Love it. Love it. Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we discussed everything we discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Before we do ask the final question, we will remind you, as we do every week, please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you might get your podcasts.
Yeah, we love reviews. They make us feel good. We read them and we're like, nice. And then other people read them and they're like, oh, this podcast is nice. It helps us go up the charts and it helps other people be like, this podcast is good.
Yes.
This podcast is good.
This podcast
Make that
is
your
good.
review.
Make that the review. Put it in there. It only
Even
takes
a great.
You could say great. It only takes a couple minutes and it helps us move up the charts and find new listeners. It's very important to us. And as well, if you do want to support us monetarily, you can do that over on our Patreon page. Patreon is a monthly subscription service. You can subscribe at whatever is in your budget, and you'll get cool bonuses for doing so.
Yeah, at the $3 level, you get this podcast ad-free and early, which is great when we cover a new movie like this one. You could have listened to this on Thursday if you are listening to this on Monday. At the $3 level, you could have immediately known before you went on the weekend if you should go see The Fast and the Furious with our spoiler-free review.
Oh, it's great for the spoiler-free reviews.
If you need an early spoiler-free review, you should check out the $3 level on our Patreon.
Oh, wonderful stuff. And as well, at the $10 level, you also get a bonus episode of this podcast every single month. This month on the podcast, we did The Fast and the Furious for our Patreon bonus. The very first one. We went back to the DVD, VCR, TV combo, beginnings of it all.
And it was fun as hell.
A trucker got away with it.
He beat them.
True champion.
He should have been in that truck.
So you can go check out that episode now on our Patreon page. And as well, if you sign up at the hero level, you get immediate access to the full back catalog. So head on over to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And thank you to all of our current and future patrons.
Thank you so much, patrons.
And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
My biggest change is about Momoa as just kind of his actions a little, because he is, as I said, he wants Dom to suffer, but he never actually inflicts any damage. And I do think this movie suffers in terms of stakes in the fact that it will not kill anyone off. It absolutely refuses. They introduced some new guy in Brazil just so even one guy died in this movie. And they didn't even show his body.
He was in previous movies.
I believe he probably was, but he was wildly forgettable, whoever he was. To the point where, like, he didn't even show his body. He might be alive. I don't think he is, but he might be. I was trying to think of what like made 7's actually my favorite more than 5. And 7 is so motivated because Han dies right off the top. It's like, we got to get Statham because he has genuinely, as far as we know, killed Han. I think this movie needs a death or an intense injury off the top. Because also in 7, Hobbs is in the hospital right away. He gets blown up. He's not dead, but he's at least like wildly injured. And Cypher being injured doesn't do anything for me because she's a villain. So I think right off the top, Momoa needs to either kill or wildly injure one of the crew. And it has to be more personal. There has to be more stakes. It has to be like, this guy is coming for us and does want to suffer. Because as it is, it's like Cypher got a little stabbed by her own henchmen. And then he doesn't really succeed in doing anything else to any of them. So I'm going to add just some more stakes. I don't know who to kill off. It's tough. I actually honestly really thought they should have killed Scott Eastwood because that's a nice middle ground guy. And like they had good reason to kill him within the plot. So yeah, I'm mostly going to have him kill a guy. And also he needs some henchmen. Very confused about Momoa's whole status, about whether he has money or not. Because like he gets like Cypher's men to join him by kidnapping their families. But I'm like, who kidnapped their families? You don't seem to have any men. You have to steal their money to have money to pay for people. We stole your vault full of money. I have so many questions about Momoa's backstory. And I want him to have his own men because I was very annoyed that the agency did most of the fighting in this movie. Mm-hmm. So Momoa has his own men and his own money. I don't know, second vault full of money. And he kills someone off the top. Those are my big changes. And like, don't separate as many people. What would you change, Andrew?
Interesting. I can get on board with pretty much all of that. I'm not mad at any of that. I think there's some simple ones, like a few scenes can be deleted for time. The Pete Davidson London scene does nothing.
Absolutely does nothing. Go straight to Jason Statham. Yeah. What are we doing?
It's just a complete waste of time. So that's just a whole nothing scene that can be deleted. So I'm big on that. I think this movie needs one major driving factor that they are going towards.
Ooh, yes.
Other than a safe house. And I think that should have been the return of Kurt Russell as Mr. Nobody. Oh. I think they needed to get that in this movie.
Okay.
To be like, okay, like the agency has been compromised, everything has gone wrong, and our Nick Fury, our Mr. Nobody, is a dude who is now hiding underground and calling in the crew of the people to help him take down his old agency.
Oh, you're Winter Soldiering.
We're classic Winter Soldiering.
I mean, that movie is perfect.
That
Why
movie
not
is
take the
perfect,
structure?
and this movie is already like doing a bunch of MCU stuff. We're a big bombastic comic book movie that's an original IP. So the Fast franchise is insane like that. But yeah, I think it should be, instead of the safe house, it should be they've all been sent different forms of like old spycraft signals.
Love this.
And they have to get there. So I think it should be old spycraft shit that like the eye can't hack or whatever. You know, like it's a cassette in John Cena's car.
Oh,
where
he
he's
did
like,
have
where did this?
cassettes.
So I think like shit like that should be like they all get old spycraft things to come see Mr. Nobody. And that's who they're headed towards, to get someone who can help them take down the agency.
I love this.
Because they're like, our main problem is Dante. It's Jason Momoa. Dante's trying to kill us, but he's teamed up with the agency. We need someone who can help take down the agency.
That is so great. Because, yeah, they're not trying to fight the agency throughout this because they don't know that they're, like, corrupted. So they are just trying to, like, kind of just get away and, like, they're like, we'll clear our names later. But if the agency was very clearly, like, against them and not in a just judicial way, then that would be such a clearer, like, we need to get a guy who can take down the agency, and that would be Mr. Nobody.
Yeah.
Love that. I love this change.
And also it's just more Kurt Russell, who's fucking phenomenal.
Of course, we want more Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Every Nobody's great.
Boom. There we go. We get more Kurt Russell, and then that also more directly explains why his kids are around and in this movie.
They're the ones like leaving the clues. And,
Yeah. Yeah. So he's my big driving force. He's who everyone is going towards in this movie to make them going, even if they don't know it, even if it is all like coded spycraft stuff, and they're like, I don't know who's calling us right now. That should be who they're going towards, and then we delete the Pete Davidson scene.
I absolutely think we should delete the Pete Davidson scene. I don't know why Tyrese had magic sand. What was happening?
I don't
in
know
that
what
scene.
any of that was about.
I don't know why Han ate a muffin that made him get high, and then that had no relevance later.
Why the internet cafe only had old computers. Why that was a running thing where it was like, this one's running on Windows 95. Like, they're all old computers.
I liked that. It was like a front for the fact that his computer was good.
Okay, I guess.
I just think that was like when he hit the copier and he's like, you hit the copier so hard it works. I think that was actually a very funny line.
There were some funny jokes in there.
It was not necessary.
It was a pointless section.
It was
yeah,
absolutely
I think Pete
pointless
Davidson
section.
was actually pretty funny in it, but like it was a pointless section.
Absolutely
Yeah.
pointless. All right. We've fixed it.
We've
We
fixed
made a great movie.
I think we made a fantastic movie, and I still had a better time than you.
You know what? You make me want to kind of watch it again to try to have that better time.
Aw.
I want a better time for me.
I understand that. That's going to be it for this week for Fast X. We are going to be back next week, and next week we're going to be talking about the animated feature Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Yeah! Why are we doing that?
We're doing some, because it's a Lord Miller film,
Yeah.
and we're building up to Across the Spider-Verse.
Part 1.
Part 1.
Guys, it's a part
Even though
1.
they stopped calling it that in their advertising
Just
materials.
FYI.
That is a part 1. So we're building up to Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. But next week we're talking about Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. So we'll be talking about that next week. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can find me on Instagram at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me at Words of Diana.
And you can find both of us at From Superheroes. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.
Meatball.
Meatball. Mom.